Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bob Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. We've got a first-time guest, which is kind of a long time coming. We've been friends with this guy for a long time. Brandon London, former New York Giants wide receiver, was part of the Super Bowl 42 team. Works with the Giants, doing, game day stuff, hyping up the crowd. He also, does media stuff for New York Post and SNY. So we'll have him on to just talk about the state of the Giants. And we're going to do a little Super Bowl talk at the end as well, with the annual tradition where we talk about more than just the Giants on this episode. Justin, how you feeling? Giants 101 begins right now.
We officially have reached the best part of the Giants season, Bobby.
Because it's all up
over
from here.
It's over.
Just kidding.
It honestly is. I'm glad Brandon London brought it up. Just kind of had this thought, I'm in New Orleans. The sponsor sent me to that Giants-Eagles game where we thought that somebody, some people were going to get fired, maybe they're not, and I streamed all of the Eagles playoffs games besides the conference championship, and I've had a lot of Eagles just thrown perpetually at my face over the last month or so. And I'm just like, and it'll put the cherry on top of Eli not making the Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff, man. It's just like I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired of it. And the best part of the Giants season is that it's over.
Strahan waving the Eagles flag and saying "Fly Eagles Fly" is insanity. That might have hurt more than anything out of all of this, because that was just unnecessary. Like, we know we're gonna take. If Michael Strahan did an interview with Saquon Barkley and told him, "I'm rooting for you. I want you to win because I like you," it would have been understandable. To take the Eagles flag, and he knows this rivalry, right? He knew it when it was a rivalry. It's not really even a rivalry anymore, because we haven't beat them in Philly since 2013. To do that was just a gut punch. And then Amani Toomer on the radio being like, "Oh, well, this is our message." It's like, you can send a message, call Joe Shane, say, "Fire Joe Shane, fire Joe Shane." You don't need to wave a damn Eagles flag and say "Fly Eagles Fly" to get that message apart, Michael Strahan.
Yeah, very, very unique Giants season where, haven't played a football game in quite a little while now, and it somehow just progressively keeps getting worse. I don't know if there's ever been a season like this where it just, football keeps going, they don't play, and it just feels worse, but it's over.
Yeah, at least we get hate watches in the playoffs. This year, the Cowboys didn't make it, so we didn't get to watch their loss, and then the Eagles didn't have any loss in Saquon.
You couldn't really hate watch the NFC Championship game since they were both kind of playing each other.
Oh, yeah, made me root for the Commanders.
Yeah, which is crazy.
But at least we can be miserable together, and some of the people that want to be miserable with us, Justin, even though no more miserable. It's a new year. It's Giants 101. We got to get back to the basics. That's the slogan this year. We got Sean Burnson, not Benson, not Burn, not Son. Burn, son. Burn, son. This next guy, his name, I'm not even going to read it. It's because it's not even a real name. It's a phrase. He knows who I'm talking about. You're not getting me to say that on a podcast. We have Dominique Mazza.
I know Dom.
He likes Maz. Maserati. Tyler Egan. He is Regan's friend, and then Pete P. Old Pete. Justin, who are these people?
PP went to patreon.com/talkgiants, and for $2 a month, plus some other tiers, you get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail, plus there's some shirt raffles a couple times a month. The shirt that says "I want Eli in the Hall of Fame," put out a couple months ago, it's not irrelevant. It's gained more steam. So shop.jumbomedia.com, and ad within an ad, patreon.com/talkgiants. Get your shirts, get everything. Come join the Patreon family. Gonna have a lot of fun. You're gonna start using the Patreon Twitter a little bit more to tweet out some QB thoughts as you go. So there's that too. Patreon.com/talkgiants.
Yeah.
I'd be glad you did.
Yeah, actually, I'm tweeting, because sometimes you watch like 6 games of a quarterback, and you're like, I kind of remember, I forget some of my individual thoughts from each game, so I'm putting them out there on the Patreon Twitter, which the Patreon Twitter is now open again after the whole Giants PR debacle when people leaked it out. Justin, before we get into the interview with Brandon London, the Giants did make a hire. They replaced Christian Jones, who had been the Giants' assistant QB coach for a few years, who went on to be the Browns' tight end coach. And they've replaced him with Coach Chad Hall, which most of the time we really wouldn't make much note of this on the show. But it is funny that we are starting to get some Matthew Stafford smoke, because not only is he becoming the assistant quarterback coach of the New York Giants, guess who his sister is? Kelly Stafford. And you were like, why is her name Stafford if it's his sister? Well, because she's married to Matthew Stafford, married to his brother-in-law. He was the Jags wide receiver coach the last 2 years, and then was the Bills wide receiver coach under Brian Dable. When he was the offensive coordinator there, played at 5 years in the NFL as a receiver, and then played at Air Force University in college. So again, assistant QB coach, there's a lot of different paths there. So wide receiver coach to assistant QB coach is not a big stretch. But it is interesting that the Matthew Stafford thing kind of started as a joke, but now it's like you have Giants players tweeting about it and then deleting their tweets about it. Kelly Stafford, Matthew Stafford's wife, talking bad about trading Cooper Kupp and wanting a new adventure. I don't think this actually means anything, but also it's just there is becoming a ton of coincidences.
There's a little bit. There's maybe a little bit of tea leaves. I think the issue is that I don't know if Matthew Stafford would want to leave LA. I know you had Kelly Stafford on the podcast talking about
why would he want to go to the Giants?
New adventures and new challenges. I think he's pretty settled down in LA. He's very good friends with our guy Trevor Plouffe. So he's got
who is a friend of Chad Hall too, by the way.
Yeah. So I'll talk to Trevor Plouffe, see if I can learn anything this week. But I'm gonna see him this week for Blitzball Battle at the warehouse. So get excited for that.
Oh, you got to FaceTime me, but so I can just grill him.
Okay.
Tell us what's the deal, man.
You gotta, Trevor. I don't know, because this is a situation, and the Rams right now, they usually, the Ram, teams like the Rams like to usually stay a year or two ahead of this kind of stuff. So there could be some tough conversations happening out there in LA where maybe even Stafford doesn't fully know what's going on with him yet. So
yeah, which I could believe, but also why would he want to go to the New York Giants? But hey, maybe he just loves Brian Dable. Hey, wouldn't be the first time the Giants brought in a Rams, Super Bowl champion quarterback and then drafted somebody. So, it wouldn't stop the Giants from drafting a QB if they wanted to in the first round either.
No, absolutely not.
Obviously, the third pick would not be a part of any type of trade there. But anyways, we're just talking about nonsense. Justin, let's get into this interview with Brandon London, our good friend. But first, this episode is brought to you by Huel. It's time to take your nutrition to the next level. And that's why I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Huel, spelled Huel. Can you remember those 4 letters, people? The global complete nutrition brand trusted by over 400 million people. That's a lot of people, honestly. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a total game changer, a complete meal in a bottle that's high in protein, low in sugar, and packed with all the nutrients your body needs to feel and perform at its best. I'm always on the move and don't have time to whip up a balanced meal, which is where Huel comes in. Huel is convenient and tastes so good. Their shakes actually taste like a milkshake, and they come in chocolate or vanilla. Or vanilla, as Spanish people would say. So join the community of Hooligans with this exclusive offer for new customers. 15% off plus a free gift with the code GIANTS at Huel.com. That's 15% plus a free gift for new customers with code GIANTS at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus in on what really matters. You'll be glad you did. And here's Brandon London. We now welcome onto the show for the first time from SNY New York Post. He's part of the Super Bowl 42 champion New York Giants, Brandon London. Brandon.
What's happening, guys?
Thanks for jumping on. It's been a long time coming. We keep on saying we'll have you on the show, and then we get busy. But I'm going to come at you hot with my first question. Why does Michael Strahan have to wave an Eagle flag and say "Fly, Eagles, fly"?
That killed me watching that, man. I love Stray, big bro. We did some good content. Got some good content out there during Super Bowl week. I think that right there, kind of that for Giants fans to go through everything that they've had to go through this entire year. The Saquon stuff, Andrew Thomas going down. It just seemed like Eli not getting in. It just seemed like one thing after the next to just stick it to Giants fans. And then to see that even got me. And I even tweeted like, bro, like, no, the
That
one
was
person you thought would never say fly, Eagles fly and wave the flag at the same time. That hit me, but I mean, it's not surprising, man. You saw him take that shot a couple weeks ago, about the Giants and stuff. And there are a lot of legends that are upset by the way that this 100th season just kind of went. Luckily, it's over, but that one got me as well. That surprised me. I never thought I'd see Michael Strahan do that.
that was like a selfie at the tombstone where it's like, oh my gosh, we're dead, leave us alone.
Yep.
Like, Stray, just say you're rooting for Saquon. He's my friend. It's like, you don't gotta wave the flag and you ruined it. And Strahan is someone, like you said, who take take all you want. I don't care.
Yep.
Call for people to be fired, whatever. Just don't wave the damn flag and give them that.
Yeah,
so you mentioned,
I'll be surprised. I was surprised on how many Giants fans were rooting for the Eagles. Like, I know it's easy to say, like, I will root for Saquon Barkley. I've seen the dude since day one when he came in on the golf cart after he was drafted the next day at that fan fest, that draft party fan fest. Kid's been nothing but a model athlete, model franchise player and all. It didn't work out here. I can say, and I was one of those people who are like, I hope he runs for 150, but I want the Eagles to lose that game. You would never hear me root for the Eagles. But at the end of the day, fellas, I think right now, I think the Giants need to embrace all that. And I was telling Mike Becton, who, does a lot of the videography and produces a lot of the content for the Giants. I say, clip all the videos of the flyover, the bags over the head, clip all that together and put it together and make some sort of highlight video going into the 101st season and have somebody voice it over and say, fans, we hear you guys. We feel it. We're not excited about the product that's been out there either, but we are going to be better. We are dedicated to you guys and bringing this thing back to how you guys grew up loving this team, how you guys parents and these Giants fans from the way back. Get everybody on board to where it's like, all right, let's all rally behind the fact that this is rock bottom. I don't care what anybody says. This is rock bottom. So get everybody together on the tip, on where it's like, you know what? There's no way to go but up. There's nothing worse that can happen than what we just kind of saw, and kind of own it. Be like, it is what it is. We saw it. We hear you. Now let's band together, move forward, and try and win some games going in the future.
I want to keep it a little bit Super Bowl themed because you mentioned we were recording this on day one of Giants 101.
Yep.
You basically just summed up how Giants 100 went. It went pretty bad. You were on that Super Bowl 42 roster, as a 23-year-old. And, we've talked to guys from that team, and I have my opinions, but what is missing from this team that team doesn't have? Obviously, other than a should-be Hall of Fame quarterback in Eli Manning. But what is missing that you feel like this team needs? Not, we need a backup here or a starter here. What kind of mindset?
Their version of the trenches. Their version, I'm talking not only on the offensive, but on the defensive line. We just saw the Eagles put the belt to that ass on the greatest quarterback of right now. They got after him rushing 4. It's the same thing that Olsey, Tuck, Freezy, Fred Robbins, Strahan, and those guys were able to do against, and Spags was able to do against Tom Brady. They weren't blitzing that much that game. You didn't see Pierce and Kavika Mitchell and those guys blitzing that much. You were able to create disruption and chaos through rushing 4 and dropping 7. Vic Fangio and Steve Spagnuolo are kind of the same in a way when it comes to, you play like a 2 high cover 4 type and try and keep everything in front of you, and you got to beat us in increments. It's the same. And then on the flip side, on the offensive line, you look at the Richie Soyberts, the Chris Sneeze. Look at the value you got out of Sean O'Hara and guys who were undrafted. Look at what you got out of K-Mac, Kareem McKenzie, David Deal, and you were able to protect in Eli and allow. I think Eli had one of his most efficient seasons that year, and we were on what 9-7 that year. So I think the trenches is something that this team going forward is going to have to kind of recreate, especially because this Giants offensive line now has to go against this Eagles defensive line twice a year. So if you can't protect Patrick Mahomes, what makes you think you're going to protect Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Cam Ward, Shador Sanders? You put anybody back there, and they were busting Patrick Mahomes' ass. So it was like it's one of those things I would say going forward, and this kind of helped Joe Shane in a way. Obviously, the Saquon situation was a bad stain. But remember, he was saying, like, if we don't have the offensive line, what's the point of, paying the running back? What's the point of dropping back our $40 million quarterback? And he plays this Eagles defense. They play the Eagles defense twice a season. So I think this team needs to go heavy with dogs in both sides of the trenches. Get somebody opposite of Dexter Lawrence to help shore up that run, that run defense, and then hopefully you can get a huge year out of Kayvon, and then Brian Burns to make an even bigger step. Because if guys are just running 5-6 yards a pop on first down, we can't really see Brian Burns' true potential because they're not throwing. No team's really throwing like that. Now Shane Bowen, they would lead the league in sacks for a bit, but throughout the course of the year, that kind of fizzed out. So get nasty in the trenches, man, and I feel like everything else will fall in place.
I've bought an all in on that. I know you focus a lot on the offensive line side of that. I look at the Eagles, and it's the one thing that translates throughout whatever cycle of the NFL in, whether it's the explosive plays or the quick game. Being able to get it after 4, right? We always try to have these takeaways from Super Bowls, and sometimes we overreact to certain things. But the one that is the most consistent is being able to get there at 4. And let's just pretend the Giants did have their franchise quarterback in going into this draft.
Yep.
You know what I would love to do? Draft Abdul Carter. I don't care if you have Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. And then in the second round, I'll draft a defensive tackle. Yep. And then we get to the third round, and then there's another defensive tackle who I think is the best player in the board. Take another one. Like you saw it. There's one thing Jerry Reese did right was not letting Justin Tuck and OC Umenyiora stop you from drafting JPP, or Strahan and OC stop you from drafting Tuck in the second round. It's just I'm all in on just keep replenishing that front 4. I don't care if you have 4 good starters. Add another guy and make that the best rotation in the NFL.
I'm with you. It's all about wrecking the decision maker. I mean, you see Wink, if you look at the defenses between Wink and Shane Bowen kind of had more success than Wink Martindale, and Wink was blitzing more. Remember, there were spells where it was like the Giants defense a year or two ago, about 2 years ago, they were blitzing everybody, but still wasn't getting there. They were able to get after quarterbacks last season. Well, remember, you were leading the league in pressures and sacks at one point. They were able to get there with 4 without having to blitz that much. So I think the offenses, they're too good these days to where you can't blitz as much or be blitz happy anymore, because they're just going to block it, identify it, block it up, and then burn you in whatever hole you've vacated within that blitz. So it's a luxury, and I'm with you on that Abdul Carter thing, man. Like, I know Kayvon is there, but it's competition. Guys get drafted to replace guys at all times. Jalen Hyatt got drafted to replace Darius Slayton, and so being able to draft Abdul Carter to compete with Kayvon Thibodeau or whoever it is. Then then the business of sport comes in, and then it's like, all right, have yourself a good year, and then guys get used as trade bait or whatever to try and bring in more. It's the NFL, man. That's just how it is. Guys you're going in competition each year. So I'm with you on that one, man. You can never have enough pass rushers, and you can never have enough guys that can protect the quarterback on the other side.
Outside of, some instability at quarterback, a lot of different faces, what would you view and point at as that's maybe where the season went awry, season went a little wrong?
I think it was the Malik Neighbors drop on 4th down against the Commanders, because it was like, man, this team tried to do everything right. Like the Vikings game was just the Vikings game. It was just like, wow, like what was that? But then you see a game where they are competing, and then to have the kicker situation kind of play out the way it played out, but for them to be able to compete and to be able to try and have a chance to close out a game right there early and to try and build some sort of early momentum in the season, and not only through just getting the win, but getting Daniel Jones some confidence with a win. Coming back to the home crowd, MetLife Stadium with the win, to where now people weren't going to be on edge when it came to Daniel Jones, to where it's like you're sitting there waiting for him to mess up rather than waiting to celebrate, him making a big play. And I think he needed that sort of confidence at home playing in front of the home crowd. So I look at that one and was just like, that was a wasted opportunity. And then the Cowboys game, outside of that deep ball to CD Lamb, they really didn't do much on offense. They had plays here and there. Dak Prescott is a really good quarterback, and they've got weapons on that offense. But for a one score game, to lose by one score and then give up a 55-yard touchdown like that in the way that CD Lamb was able to score, and then you saw him turn around and kind of like give Tay Banks a little something. I looked at that as like, we have a problem in the secondary, because you can try and get after him as much as you can with that defensive line. But if that ball is going to be in the air and you don't have a corner or corners that can compete with that 50-50 ball with these receivers, you're coming on the down end of these 50-50 balls, then that's going to be a problem. And we saw the secondary kind of struggle throughout the course of the year. You went through Cordell Flott to Nick McClat, it was just a revolving door on who was going to step up and be CB1 for this team. So those are two moments that dropped because it led to what it led to. And then that touchdown with CD Lamb, because teams knew, all right, let me keep an extra guy in to help block and protect against this pass rush, and then throw the ball down the field.
Want to ask you a couple? Go ahead, Justin.
I've had the luxury of, hey, I went out to LPG's The Big Tip Dinner. Jonathan Casillas was there. I see you around the stadium. We have some conversations. So really, I've had some conversations with former Giants players and Giants players that have been on the teams that, we look back and, we want to replicate, right? 2007, 2011. And one of the first things that you guys go to is the locker room, and the guys and policing each other. Everybody talks about the coach. Is the coach, does the coach have the locker room right? But a lot of you guys, you don't even go to that. You go to, the guys in the locker room are supposed to do that and hold each other accountable. So I don't know, kind of leaving this a little open-ended for you. Talk to me a little bit about that and how you view maybe today's Giants team, and what they need more of, what they need less of, compared to, even the days of hey, these are the locker rooms and these are the guys that you kind of need in the room to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, Coach Coughlin was a sheriff, and the leadership were the deputies. Coach Coughlin, and I remember during that training camp, my rookie year, and we're in shells, and we're not practicing as hard as what the reputation I thought the Coach Coughlin had. And I mentioned something, David Tyree, and he was like, youngster, this is like a Coughlin 2.0. He's kind of scaled back and relaxed, but you would get guys like Plax Amani and Antonio Pierce, Jabril Wilson, JB, James Butler, Corey Webster, guys making sure guys are, one, paying attention to detail, two, having fun out there, practicing and competing, and three, making sure you just do your work, bro. Show up, do your work. Your job, if you're Steve Smith, you're drafted in the second round to make plays. So he didn't drop many balls or anything like that, but it was just something to where it's yo, you make a play, this is what we drafted you here to do. So you had those guys, you had so many big homies in that locker room. And I always remember on Fridays, receivers, we'd get out a little bit to get ready for those practices, and Strahan would be in the hot tub, and I would always try and go in there and just pick his brain on stuff, and not just the football aspect of it, but just life. So here comes a young guy trying to learn how to navigate. You see guys like Amani Toomer. I used to make fun of him all the time because he'd be stretching and yoga and doing all this, and he was like, I remember he was joking back. He was like, you better pray you can play for as long as me. But just showing young guys how to do the right thing. This team this year had young guys, not necessarily having to show the older guys how to do the right thing, but you got a lot of young guys who are making the plays, making the bulk out of the plays. And it's like, all right, I'm young and I'm too young to like kind of speak up and get on an older guy, but I'm making enough plays to where I should have a voice. So that question mark, I believe, should never be there. Like if you're Malik Neighbors, yeah, you're a natural dog. We want to hear from you. We want to see you make plays. But at the end of the day, you want the Darius Slaytons and the Wandale Robinsons, who are the older guys in that receiver room, to be able to be making matching the type of plays, the impact plays that he's having. So now that voice kind of carries over a little more. And I talked to Bobby Okereke about this on Radio Row when I interviewed him on Friday. And I was like, what do you think about people kind of taking shots at, guys like you or older guys not having that leadership voice and like it all being young guys in there? And he was, it's basically kind of alluded to the fact where it was like the leadership was there, guys were saying things and guys were telling guys, step up, hey, do the right things. But when you're losing, at some point, everybody's just like, bro, I'm not trying to hear this no more, bro. Like, I'm not, it just is what it is. Whether it's a Dable, whether it's Mike Kafka, and then down into the locker room, whether it's your leaders in the locker room. So I think going into next year, this team I think they should have a Jihad Ward or a Sterling Shepard. Jihad Hadi, you messing up, I'm getting up in your face. And then he's the guy that answered the media and getting kind of was that liaison to where it was like, yo, we're playing soft. Yo, we're not doing X, Y, Z. You see when the Malik Neighbors say, yo, we're playing soft, it gets blown up into he's attacking the team, he's attacking the leadership. But no, when you have that guy that you can identify as, hey, this guy is the voice of the locker room. This guy is and Jihad Ward wasn't even a captain, So it was, you got that guy who's like, I got so much respect for Big Homie. Because one, he may not be a star on this team, but this dude's putting in work. This guy's setting the edge. This guy's doing the grunt work. He's the one going after Aaron Rodgers. I think they need some guys like that, man, to where it's like you may not be a superstar or star on this team, but you do so much of the nasty work that when you speak, we have no choice but to respect you because you're the hitman on this team.
Yeah, I agree. Needs like some, I talk with Dave Tollison a lot. Yeah. And he had like a good thumb on that, and he's just like, man, like we had fucking dogs. Like if you didn't run, if you were a backside end on a run play in practice and you didn't run to the ball, like you'd get chewed out. I want to ask you one more serious question before we get into some fun stuff. We have to ask this to everybody before we hit May. Who do you think is going to be the quarterback for this team?
I think they go in free agency somewhere and grab somebody. I think they make some sort of trade or some sort of splash, something, man. Like I know everybody wants to stop a place gap quarterback or whatever, but and I know Joe Shane said he wasn't going to make some sort of Hail Mary trade or put the salary cap in a bad situation if he is on his way out. Brian Dable deserves somebody that can come in and ball, man. He deserves somebody that he can just be in sync with and be a quarterback, a leader out there on the field. So I think that with that third pick, if that Abdul Carter that like does fall for them and you are able to get some free agent quarterback at like I can't wrap my finger on who's the who, but at the end of the day, it's like you need somebody that can come in day one and just take over that offense. So,
but you think it's going to be a vet who is like that's their quarterback plan for maybe not long term, but at least for the near future? You think they're going to fuck with Stafford a little bit?
No, because
you're making me think they are.
No, because he needs a quarterback that you can call design runs for.
Okay.
Like look at that year, Daniel Jones. I mean, he only threw 15 touchdowns, had 4 interceptions. But look at how much he used him in the run game. I still think that's a big part of that offense. You have to have the statue quarterback is dead because, again, we're talking about going up against Philly's D-line twice a year, Michael Parson and those guys twice a year. Jaden Daniels was able to have success against both of those teams because when it broke down, he was able to get out of there and sting you, and for messing up your for not being disciplined in your rush lanes. So I haven't been able to identify who that quarterback is right now, but I don't know, man. Like I hear the Justin Fields, I hear the Russell Wilsons, I hear these guys, and it's like, all right, they're cool, but I just don't think that these guys have the time for that type of quarterback. So
Right.
I mean, I wish I could give you a person. I don't think Matthews. I think Stafford's just a good name. And do you want to give up some sort of draft capital for an aging quarterback like that? It's like bringing in Kirk Cousins in a way, like a little better Kirk Cousins. So just
Well,
looking,
the way you were talking, and then the way Malik Neighbors and Jermaine Illuminor were tweeting, I thought we were getting one more hint at the Matthew Stafford move. The way you're talking, but
I mean, it sounds like a good move, because of who Matthew Stafford is. But again, at the end of the day, you need a quarterback that's mobile enough. Doesn't have to be a scrambler, but just mobile enough. But you can say Justin Fields, but if the Jets move on from Aaron Rodgers, they may go after a Justin Fields. So it's all about, are you going to bring in enough in free agency? Can you bring in guys that can elevate a Justin Fields or a Russell Wilson? Can you make them play better than what we've seen in the past? So I don't I don't like, even now, like I would take a Geno Smith-esque type quarterback right now. I'd kick the tires on Jameis and just kind of not try and
he
not
was a
try and
star on Radio Row.
Oh yeah. I did the Fanatics
He wants to
part.
play for every team.
Yeah, he was live. He talked to David Tepper. He talked to a couple owners about, hey, would you pick up Jameis Winston? But because I was right next to him on the red carpet for the Fanatics party, I would Jameis would be great. But the only thing is, you come in, you throw 4 or 5 picks, Giant Stadium is going to erupt in madness. So I don't know, man. I don't know who that guy is, but I think Brian Dable. I think we should listen. They should listen to Brian Dable because we saw him on Hard Knocks. Hey, anybody would trade up for Jaden Daniels? I would. Like, the man's been, and then the subliminal he threw out there after the Colts game when he had success with Drew
Yeah.
Lock, when he was like, he's been throwing. He's been like that. It's almost like Kanye's wife, how she's like throwing out these little subliminals of like, help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think
He doesn't say much. Dable doesn't say much, but when he said that, it was like, oh, hello.
we know exactly what you mean, Dable.
Yeah.
We know exactly what you're talking about, and I think he deserves he deserves somebody who can come in and run his offense.
Yeah. You're part of the Giants game day and in stadium experience too, which I love. I mean, I love going to Giants games, and I've been going since that old line. So based on just I go to every game, and I think I have a theory that I think you guys tried to do some different stuff in stadium this year, whether it's like a chant or different in-game stuff. Talk to me a little about some goals that you have, some things that maybe you want to introduce, you and the team, that maybe you want to introduce like in the stadium. So because I noticed at the start of this year, I'm like, I think they're starting like a chant. And as the year went on, I don't blame you for maybe kind of going away from that for
Yeah,
Rod's
man.
sake.
Like, Don Sperling, who's like the head, he just, he's kind of retiring and all. He went out, he wanted to go out with a bang, man. And like you saw from LT, Lawrence Taylor being, like ringing the bell in the beginning, like they
I
rolled
love
out
the
a
vets.
lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bringing the vets out, it always gets you
Bringing the
fired up.
vets, the highlight videos and stuff. I mean, I would love to be some sort of universal chant. And I think that, again, this is something that the Giants should embrace. They could come in with that highlight video I was telling you earlier, but it should be something to where at these fan fests and all, we should have some Q&As with the fans, kind of like they did the Legends event at Madison Square Garden last season, where I want fans to like have more of an input on game day operations and stuff, because you can try and make up a chant, or I can go and pitch something to the heads. But I want something to where all the fans feel as though that they had a part in it. Like, I want Giants fans, because you see that disconnect that's been there. There's so much back and forth, and that comes with losing. Then there's that disconnect that's there. I want Mara. I would love for Mr. Mara and these guys, Pat Hanlon and these guys, to really bring the fans on board and really get their input and continue like that town hall we did last year with people, and really do a lot of those, maybe even once a month, once every 2 months, and just have Mr. Mara and these guys continue to check in with the fan base and all, because you want to continue to bring on. You don't want to lose fans, and two, you want people to feel like you're a part of the turnaround. You want that fan to be like, hey, I'm the one that pitched that chant, and now that's the universal chant for the Giants, and now everybody gets on board with that. So I would love if there was a universal chant. License plate guy has kind of mentioned something.
You guys have been pushing that for years, I feel.
Yeah, and the Giants are slowly getting out of their comfort zone when it comes to these things. Remember, I'm the first in-game MC. They weren't doing that,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Nobody before. Nobody.
They were never really doing that. So remixing the Giants way to where you're still honoring that 100 seasons, but at the same time showing the fans where it's like, all right, remixing this, changing little this here, little bit of this here. And we want you guys' input. We want you guys to continue to be a part of this franchise, because you don't go 100 years if you don't have the fan base behind you. So I mean, I would love, and then I like how we do the kick competitions at halftime. Absolutely love that. And then you can put something out there for fans, win a chance to be that person, to be, or have a kickoff, or some sort of section versus section type thing, or what section can get hype loudest. I'm having a blast when I'm with the fans, to running around the stadium and doing those different things with the fans. So, again, winning masks all, winning cures all. So it will always be better when you're winning and stuff. But I really feel as though this is the off season, not only to make powerful moves in free agency and the draft, but to really, really go deep with the fan base, to really get the pulse of it. Because right now everything is just outrage. Everybody's outraged and all. But go even deeper. Go even deeper and give these people a voice and a platform. Don't run from it, and just talk to the people, calm it down, and be like, hey, look at who we drafted. Look at who we went out in free agency. Let's all rally together. We think this is a team that can win some games this year.
All right, I got some thoughts, so I'm gonna DM you. I'm a big tradition guy, so like there are some things that that have actually gone away that I kind of want to bring back. A lot of it's music based. I love music
one
at the stadium. Well, I mean, we have to stop messing with Back in the New York Groove after we scored. There's like a remix that we do. We got to just bring back the full version. All right, and then also what's another one? What's another one? Back in the New York Groove needs to, after that ends, it needs to go straight into Jump Around, because then I just get up and I continue dancing. Okay. So yeah, but I'm big into that. So I love that we're thinking of this, because as we joke about MetLife and this and that and however anybody feels about it, regardless of how you feel about the design of the stadium, but making it a place that you want to go to.
Yeah.
Obviously winning is going to cure all, like you said, but being an engaging, like providing a more engaging, like in-house experience, I think could make it like, oh, I'm still, there's a lot of stoppages in football, and that's a whole other conversation too. Like the pace of football, it is slow. It's inevitably a slow game. So I think even providing that, like in the stadium, that's something that I'm going to be really, really looking forward to if we can.
I love the light out night that we did, man, because I think that was that had the stadium rocking. And I was looking like, man, MetLife is really fire right now. I love the little sing-alongs that they do throughout the course of the game. And there's a balance. I know a lot of fans have wrote in, with the DJs, that they play a lot of rap music and hip hop. Well, if it's pregame, that's what a lot of the players want to hear.
Right.
A lot of that's just based off of players. But then you see how they kind of switch it up to try and balance it out to where, whether it's finish that lyric or it's a song that's just going to play, it could be a little bit more it's hip hop. I mean, not hip hop. It's rock and roll and all that. You're never going to be able to, as we know in this world, never going to be able to satisfy everyone in that sense. But again, when I'm walking around the tailgates and stuff, there's love from everybody. So I want everybody to feel represented. You know, everybody from every borough, from every whatever part of the tri-state. You want to do as much as you can to have everyone feel as though, one, man, this team is for real. This team's going out there putting a good product out there. But two, man, this organization, right? There's that continuity between organization and fans, and that's
Yeah.
what I think one-on-one is going to be all about, man. Like, you know, they're going to work on what they can do in terms of on the field product being better, but on the flip side of it, again, bringing the fans back in, like getting some of that. Okay, the stink of this 100 season. All right, we're day one of one-on-one, like you guys said, but I think they're going to do a great job this year. Hopefully, you know, I don't know the plans just yet, but I have some meetings coming up with some high ranking people in there, and these are things that I'm going to pitch. Like these are things, you know, listening to everybody from license plate guy to you guys to Giant Sing. You know, everyone's got. I mean, even doing like a poll. You know, Giants poll as
Mm-hmm.
we get closer to it. What should the official chant be? What should XYZ be? You know, those sort of things. So it's, you know, it's again only way but up, only way to go but up.
All
But
right, I have an idea.
go ahead.
Number one, before I get to the idea, I really got a kick out of the yell for this, scream for that.
Yeah, that was
That
dope.
was
I like
like
that.
yell for the Thanksgiving version was
That was
just absurd.
that was the last game I was at. Was the Thanksgiving game, and
It
that
was-
was the loudest the crowd got.
It was
Just
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like that's great. And all right, so here's my vision, because we're mentioning 101, accounting 101,
Yep.
whatever 101. Like you go into college and it's the first day, you reset, right? Like I'm thinking video wise, like
Yep.
we're in class. It's 101. It's for I love it. I think I'm diving into that theme. Wipe it clean.
Yep.
I love it.
Like good. Like trying to, I'm with you, man. Like, and then still, like you said, keeping some of that, keeping tradition. You always got to keep that tradition. Like the family, the Mara family is the Mara family. Like, you know, you built this. Wellington bought it for $500 back in 1925. You know, you always want to honor that and be able to go for 100. But like you said, adding something to that, remixing a little bit of it, but still showing, hey, this is the Giants franchise. This is who they are. But bringing some stuff in to where it's like, oh, okay, I like that wrinkle. I like that wrinkle. And then bam, you got, you know, you win some games, you got everybody on board. And I want you guys to do me this favor, man. Like, because all throughout the week, Super Bowl, interviewing this person, interviewing that person, interviewing that person. Everybody was just taking dumps on the Giants. Any chance you had, you could get to take a dump on the Giants, they took it. When this franchise is back to winning games, you know, I want this fan base to be as rude as possible to
Oh,
everybody else out there.
you've come to the right
Team
place.
Bobby
Fans to
twice.
feel it. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait, because through what we just went through this 100th season, it's like you kind of just sitting back, like, all right, I'll take it, but watch,
That's That's what I'm doing. You come to the right place. We did our Vikings watch party in the playoff game was on Bleacher Report.
Yeah.
And most of my friends don't keep up with, what I do. None of them are on Twitter and stuff, but I got a few texts. It's like, I just saw you on the front page of Bleacher Report yelling, "Fuck Minnesota." So I'm ready. I'm ready and waiting to be disrespectful to everyone else. So,
Yep.
Brandon, appreciate you jumping on. You do digital for New York Post, SNY. So, and for the Giants, do a lot of work. Appreciate you jumping on with us, man.
I appreciate you guys having me, man, and like all the back and forth with all the fans on Twitter and all that stuff, man. Like everybody, clean slate, man. It's 1-on-1 now. Let's figure this thing. Like, let's all figure this thing out together, man. Get back on board with each other, because now everybody's 0-0. Like, no one, as we look forward to the next season. So can't wait to see everybody at these fan fests, these draft parties, these town halls. Can't wait till they roll out the information on all that stuff. But yeah, y'all's voices definitely need to be continue to be heard, and embrace where we're at right now, and just next season. Cowboys fans, Eagles, you're all getting it. Like you're all, we're putting the belt out on y'all. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate you guys having me on.
Appreciate you.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you to Brandon London for coming on the show. Appreciate you. Before we talk about the Super Bowl and before we talk about how sad everything, before we talk about how we want to throw up, we got to talk about SeatGeek. It's a new year, and to celebrate another year of our amazing partnership with SeatGeek, we have a new code just for you guys. You can now use code GIANTS2025 for 10% off tickets on SeatGeek. It's freaking NASCAR season, baby. That's what the Super Bowl means. Son, that just means we're 1 week away from Daytona with Dale Earnhardt smiling on his car and pointing his finger. With over 28 million downloads, should I do my Wendell Cole voice for the rest of this read? With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the number one rated ticketing app. That's enough.
Don't do that.
There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and the Daytona 500 and other NASCAR races. Right now, you can get tickets to the NFL playoffs. No, you can't. Baseball games, NBA, and NHL. Not to mention tons of concerts and other events. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know if you're getting a good deal. Just look for the green dots. Green means good. Red means bad. NASCAR's back. And you know we came through for you guys. You can use code GIANTS2025 for 10% off your next set of tickets on SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code GIANTS2025. You will be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. So the Eagles won their second Super Bowl.
Hooray.
And it was just like, obviously that was a hate watch for us. And there was no point. It just took out all hope. Like, I can't imagine. Obviously, Chiefs fans would rather be them right now. They just win Super Bowls all the time. So they lost this one. But, man, that's got to be a deflating feeling, just getting the shit kicked out of you. What are your overall thoughts in this one? I thought the Eagles, Vic Fangio was a huge addition for them. Our line for them and the offseason on Football Today was, too talented to fail, which didn't think they'd be the Super Bowl champions, but thought they'd bounce back in a major way. And they were dominant, man. Like their year one, year two players, obviously the addition of Saquon didn't make. You know what? I will say the addition of Saquon did make a difference in this game because the Chiefs were selling out to stop the run, and it allowed Jalen Hurts to get some easier looks for himself over the middle of the field.
Yeah. Yeah, we gave a lot of thoughts about the Eagles, about the Chiefs over on Football Today, but to I'll just bring it back to the Giants lens here. What it's the ultimate reminder of O-line, D-line rules in the NFL, and quarterback's important, and there's a lot of other shit that's important in the NFL too. Don't get me wrong, but if you got an O-line and a D-line that rules and really kind of can just kick ass, that's better than most things that you can do in the NFL. It makes the rest of team building so much easier when you can dominate that, but that's also easier said than done. I think it's actually a little bit easier to, quote unquote, easier to build that defensive line if you just pour some resources in it. And the Giants are, pseudo almost there. They need way more depth and, a second quality defensive tackle. But the offensive line is the thing that is really, really tough to do. And even though Steve Spags, they're trying to blitz Jalen Hurts, and even some of the more messier pass protection plays that the Eagles had where offensive linemen are on the ground, Jalen Hurts still has a shit ton of time to throw the ball, man. So that's really, if there's a lesson from this game, O-line, D-line rules in the NFL.
Yeah, there's always people like, oh, this is what we learned about this Super Bowl, and then the next year it's something different, right? But I think the overwhelming thing, obviously the quarterback is the most important part, obviously. But once you have the quarterback, a quarterback, the differentiator between other teams that have a quarterback, the Eagles are a little different scenario, even though Jalen Hurts played great in this game. I don't think we put him on the same tier as, Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Burrow. But hey, he's a good quarterback. He's, top 10 to 12 or wherever you put him in your rankings. I can't remember what I had him preseason. But I like him more than Dak, even though I think Dak gives you a little more regular season. He's better in the regular season. Is that when you can rush with 4, man, that's after having a quarterback, I think that's the second most valuable thing you can do in football is rush with 4 because you're just able to, I know that the Chiefs have a tackle issue and had Thuney out there and then had this, the Caliendo, a guard in there, but you know what? They have an all-pro center. They have an all-pro guard. Thuney's an all-pro level player and had done a decent enough job at left. He wasn't the big overwhelming issue yesterday, even though he didn't play well. And the Eagles were able to just keep throwing them at them, to rush with 4 with Jalen Carter and Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, and they were able to replace, and Nolan Smith as well, right? And they drafted that position when they had guys there, and they continue to do it, and they replenish, right? And it's, you heard this in the Brandon London part of the interview, but I wish the Giants had a quarterback for the sake of wanting the Giants to have a quarterback. But you know what another reason would be? It's because I would piss people off this draft cycle and be like, Abdul Carter third, whatever defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, second round, and third round. You know what? I bet you there's another defensive tackle I like on the board. Maybe give me Darius Alexander, a little more of a 2-3 year plan out of Toledo. Like I would. And then, you know what? In the fifth round, there's another, nose tackle that I like. Whatever is, McCormick or whatever his name is from Oregon. Like, that is what I would love to do. But obviously, the Giants need to get that quarterback. But hey, continue to build the front, the offensive line in those trenches, man. Because, like you said, it translates. It makes a difference. Like the Bills this year, right? Do they have all these great weapons? No, but they have probably the best offensive line in the NFL this year. I want the Giants to have real deal trenches. It just raises the floor so much, and when you get the franchise quarterback, it raises the ceiling even more.
Yeah, and I think as we're fans of the Giants and we've struggled so many years, and it always just gets into worst case scenario where I'm sitting here just begging for a season where, like, all right, well, you can be a 6, 7, 8 win team and still not be totally happy with your season. But instead, we're constantly 3, 4, 5 win teams that, and if that's your territory, you're picking in the top 10 of the draft, then, find a way to increase the floor, even though that's not like it's not a sexy way to fix the franchise. Like, I don't want to be entering, again, another season in November and December and just counting down the days until it's over. And the way that you can increase the floor and the way that you can kind of keep everything alive is the trenches, man. So find a way to do it, even though it pseudo doesn't feel like that's maybe where Joe Shane's head is at. I don't know where Joe Shane's head is at. It's outside of just being so quarterback obsessed, because this organization is QB obsessed, kind of like the fan base on Twitter is.
Oh, and we should be quarterback assessed. Like, that's the most important part. I want to get that quarterback too.
Right. But I'm saying outside of that, you typically we have an idea of like, oh, where is the organization's brains at when it comes to the need for interior offensive linemen, like John Michael Schmitz? How do they evaluate John Michael Schmitz? I feel like all these things we maybe kind of had like an idea of, but we're so like tunnel visioned in on one spot right now that
that's true.
I haven't even like thought of what are they, how are we really going to prioritize defensive tackle too, and all that kind of shit. So
right, and all that shit matters a lot.
Oh yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else from that game? I know it really wasn't a good enough game to give you all these thoughts, and it was a boring game. And Patrick Mahomes played his worst game in the worst moment. I guess not the worst moment. There was other Super Bowls where it could have happened too, but he played the worst game of his career.
Yes, worst game of his career. We talked a lot more about it on Football Today, compared Mahomes to Brady and the legacy and things like that. But in terms of Giants stuff, man, I'm very glad that this is over. I've had a month where the Senior Bowl was honestly the best part of it, where I was able to escape it for a little bit. But I've had a month where just EAGES, whatever, spell it wrong, Eagles has just been thrown in my face. And
it's crazy how they just consistently spell it wrong when they're chanting it.
It is kind of crazy. It's very simple, but it's also funny. I enjoy when people spell it wrong. So it's over. Let's draft. Let's get better. Free agency. Let's figure out what we're doing. And Giants 101. I really like that, by the way, with Brandon London. We were like, hey, you take you walk into college first day. You're taking your 101 class. You're taking your Spanish 101. You're taking your accounting 101. Your sociology 101. It's just everything is just flat out brand new. And I really like that. Let's wipe the slate clean.
Those are my best classes in college, so this will be good for me. All right, that's an episode. We will see you guys on either Thursday or Friday, because I'm taking Thursday off. I'm going to the duels in Daytona. If you're going to be there, see you there. We're going to go to the truck race on Friday. Oh, on the Bobby's Breakdown channel, Abdul Carter breakdown out the day you're listening of this, probably like at 10 a.m. or something. So make sure to check that out. How about that? Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.